This is Face the Music, a pre-ELO song-by-song podcast. Episode -022, Brontosaurus. What's that song all about?
Brontosaurus was released as a single in March 1970 in England and in June 1970 in the United States. It also became the second track on side 2 of Looking On when that album was released in December. It was the first time Jeff Lynne recorded with The Move. In Face the Music fanzine number 5 from 1989, Roy Wood said,
I wrote that around an image I wanted to portray, which ended up being the wizard image. I designed this jacket to look like scaly dinosaur skin. I wrote the song around that. Jeff Lynne was on the Brontosaurus session. He was in London with the Idol Race. Came over, and I let him play on it. He'd already told the Idol Race he was leaving, but had to work out his notice. Lynne's joining us made a big difference because we had 2 songwriters instead of just 1. And obviously the musical influences were going to change a lot. I needed somebody in there who could write, and who I rated as a writer.
In the 1974 liner notes for The Best of the Move, Bev Bevan said,
This was Jeff Lynne's first session with us, and it was very representative of our live sound, with Roy and Jeff on guitars.
In 1970, Valerie Mabbs wrote in Record Mirror,
Although Roy and Jeff have not really had time to concentrate on their songwriting, Jeff's lyrical powers added to The Move will obviously become a large influence upon them. The group's current single, Brontosaurus, is a Roy Wood composition, but we can well expect to see combined efforts in the future.
In the October 14th, 1971 issue of Rolling Stone, John Mendelsohn wrote,
And who could ever forget Brontosaurus, the absurdly heavy speaker-shattering dance favorite of the barbiturate generation?
In 1971, Roy Wood said,
When Carl left the group, I had a lot of responsibility put on my shoulders that I'd never had before. Someone had to be the front man. Everyone pointed at me, and I was thrust out there. Everyone wanted to do heavier stuff, and I wrote Brontosaurus. We did all the trimmings that go with it on stage. It was a hit, and we were dead chuffed. We thought, we're getting away with it. At least we can move on from the out-and-out commercial thing and get on with some heavier stuff.
The song was covered by Tim Curry in 1978, Cheap Trick and Lee Harvey Oswald Band in 1996, The Supernaturals in 1997, Bev Bevan's Move in 2005, Blue Meanies in 2006, and the Orchestra in 2007.
There's that face so familiar to all of us. Brontosaurus. Big fella, isn't he? Brontosaurus is world famous.
Hi, I'm Eric Winsenson.
And I'm Eric Paul Johnson.
And this week, Jeff Lynne enters the building.
And he brings his pet Brontosaurus with him.
Yes, he does.
Mm-hmm.
His little Brontosaurus. Which, interesting thing, Brontosauruses probably never existed. They were a name that they gave to a number of different sauropods, which were those big ones with the long necks and walked on all fours and poked her head in and said a bunch of feminist stuff on the television show all the time whenever Daddy Dinosaur was doing something stupid.
Oh, you're referring to a TV show that I never saw from the early 90s.
Exactly.
Okay.
The actual song, Brontosaurus, is another one of these heavy songs, which, if you're going to call your song Brontosaurus, you're not going to make it a nice little catchy ditty with a ukulele. That might have been cool. But you're going to add some heavy guitar in it and some heavy singing. I normally like that type of thing. I mean, I didn't hate the song. It's okay. It's funny. She does the Brontosaurus, and I mean, the lyrics are kind of silly and everything, and silly in a good way. It's catchy. Still something I probably listen to occasionally, but I don't know. There just seems to be something missing. I can't really put my finger on it. And I know this is Jeff Lynne producing it, so it sounds great. Guitar on there is great, especially when that acoustic comes in. Now that's the part I really like towards the end. All of a sudden this acoustic guitar coming in on top of all this electronic stuff. There's a few electronic tricks, some pedal effects done on the guitar that are not wah-wah stuff that you hate, but they're just little sounds that come in kind of like the whizzits that would show up later. Yeah, like I said, the song is pretty good. This is the first time I'd heard it. I purposely held off on listening to it for a few years now, just for this episode. And I don't know, there's just something that's not there for me. I think it might just be because it's something that I've heard before. I've even heard it from The Move before. And the last album had a nice heavy song that used about some of the same chords. I mean, probably was a good single. I can see why this would be something where, hey, we're introducing our new song and here's an actual original song from us. But it's an okay one. It's just not setting me on fire or anything like that.
Right. I think I have the single. I think I found it at a thrift store in 1987, or a friend found it at a thrift store and gave it to me, and I don't think I ever listened to it before. It had the crap beaten out of it. It was definitely a thrift store find single. I'm sure I've probably heard it before, but I really kind of didn't pay too much attention to it until this last week when I had to, because it's the next song on the podcast, so I got to start listening to it. This is going to be a Bizarro Universe or an Opposite World episode this week because I friggin' loved the song. I know last week you friggin' loved last week's song, and I really didn't care too much about it, but this week you don't care too much about it. You think it's eh.
It might be a grower, though. I will give it, this may be a grower.
Right. For me, it's a Big Move song, so I probably have heard it before sometime in my life in the last 40-something years, but I don't remember. So in my brain, which is getting older, this is the first time I heard the song. And from the first time I heard it, about a week ago, I loved it. I loved it right away. I love that plodding guitar intro. And I'm not using plodding in a bad way. I'm using it in a descriptive way, because it does kind of plod. And it's low and rumbling. It's like if a Brontosaurus was walking, if Brontosauruses existed. And even Roy Wood's occasional old man screaming at the kids to get off his lawn voice, that doesn't bother me in this one. I love that electric guitar solo, the way they do that slide distortion on it. That's great. I do agree with you about the quick acoustic break that pops in, I think, twice near the end of the song. Or at least the last minute where they're done with the singing, and now we're just going to jam. Yeah, I love the song. I couldn't get enough of hearing it. Even today, getting ready for the show, I listened to it quite a few times, and I never got tired of it. I would put this in a category of, sweet Jesus, I gotta hear Brontosaurus.
It is the right length. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I do like that.
Oh, God, yes.
And for the little bit of extra time that you would think that this goes beyond what should be about 2.5 minute single, yeah, it throws in all that stuff towards the end where it keeps the listener interested. Yeah, it may be a grower on me. Probably if I hear it some more, I'll probably like it more. It still would be on a playlist, to tell you the truth. It's not something that I would be bored with, I should say.
Right.
And plus, also, I kind of like Roy's vocals on this. Like some of the heavier stuff I've heard from him, but it sounds like some of the vocals that Pink Floyd used on Dark Side of the Moon. And also on Have a Cigar, even though Have a Cigar was none of them. That was Roy Harper. Came in to do a guest vocal on there.
Oh.
They just didn't credit him. Wonderful people they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard things about Pink Floyd.
But yeah, I like the vocals. I'm just trying to figure out why I didn't automatically connect with the song. It has everything there. I should normally just go, oh my God, this is wonderful. But I like some of the heavier stuff from the previous album better. But it'll probably grow on me. Probably I hear it some more times. And I'll be going along doing the Brontosaurus. But I will not be doing it with Tim Curry.
Yes, we'll get to that. That's a special perk in our expanded episode. Tim Curry did a cover version of this song. And if you're paying for Patreon, you'll get to hear that.
You'll get to hear that.
Yeah. So yeah, I love Brontosaurus. Add it to a playlist. I'll never get tired of it. Sweet Jesus, I gotta hear Brontosaurus.
So you're wanting to do it Brontosaurus style with Tala. Okay. I don't know exactly how that works.
Well, the fun is in finding out.
Got something to say about Brontosaurus? Well, call the telephone line voicemail.
623-850-3375. Call now.
We'll be back in a moment, right after this station break.
You get swell extras when you subscribe at patreon.com/ELOpod. For $1, $2, or $3 a show, you get expanded episodes that include more conversation, discussion about remakes, and other goodies you can only hear in the expanded episodes through a Patreon subscription. Plus, no commercials. Give us lots of money at patreon.com/ELOpod.
And now, back to Face the Music.
Was it a hit or was it?
Brontosaurus was released as a single on March 6, 1970, with Lightning Never Strikes as the B-side. It entered the British charts on April 25, 1970, and got to number 7 in its 10-week run.
Great moments in pre-ELO history.
We used to chop up television screens, chop up TVs, smash television screens on stage every night. We'd take a TV, and this was our protest against the one-eyed monster, that was ruling our lives. Where really on our nights off we used to sit and watch the telly like everybody else, But Carl Wayne used to take this great big axe and just put it through the TV screen, and these tubes would explode. And Tony made sure there were photographers there to get it all down on film and on camera. And one night he told the press that there was going to be a major happening down there. There was going to be a riot of some sort. And we just set a few explosives off. And it wasn't that much of a big deal, but Tony phoned the fire department and said there was a major fire in Denmark Street or whatever, and there were fire engines and police cars everywhere. And again, it was all captured for the press.
Face the Music, a pre-ELO song-by-song podcast, is a production of Radio Trolla Entertainment Assorted Deli Meats Amalgamated. You can contact us by voicemail at 623-850-3375 or email us at eloftmpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll read and reply to it on the show. Keep up to date by joining our Facebook group and spread the word by sharing the link or giving us a quick rating on iTunes. Subscribe to our YouTube page, the Electric Light Orchestra Podcast channel, to hear other goodies. You can financially support the podcast at patreon.com/ELOpod or PayPal using the podcast's email address, or send a check or money order to P.O. Box 1932, Superior, Arizona 85173. Next episode, -021. Lightning never strikes twice.
There's something here I never really associated with a Move song. Or maybe it's just because it's been over a week, or it's been about a week. There's sort of a sultry, slow-moving sexiness about it. I can almost see someone... I can't even bring myself to talk about it with you staring back at me. So this might not be in there, or I might just put this in later, which is the plan for tonight once the kid is gone.
Diddy is gonna get you. Diddy is gonna get you. Oh, never mind.
Anyway.